This is the news feed at noon.
The 2024 election has come to a close. We'll break down some of those results.
Plus, severe weather has impacted much of the U.S., and now a new tropical storm is on the horizon.
And a grieving Texas family wants answers after a funeral home lost part of their son's remains.
Good afternoon. You're watching the news feed at noon. I'm Lauren Harper.
And I'm John Patterson. Now, Lauren, it's finally starting to feel like fall, huh?
It is. Right now we're at 69 degrees. We won't get much warmer than that with a high of 73. And that high is actually being pushed down by that precipitation we'll see pretty much all day today. Now there is some humidity. We're seeing about 93% humidity. There's a small chance of a severe storm that we're watching, but it will most likely just be heavy rain, scattered thunderstorms, and higher winds across the Metroplex. We will have more tropical storms moving in the Gulf of Mexico. This time it's Rafael, which will actually be the 11th hurricane this year. Now, John, just a few weeks ago, we had mentioned this year being below average in terms of the number of major tropical storms in the Western Hemisphere. However, we've surpassed the average for storms, hurricanes, and even major movements in 2024. Coming up, we'll look at Rafael's path, whether it will hit southern Texas or stay closer to Mexico and South America, as well as that pattern shift in temperatures as we head closer to the end of the year, followed by that full 70 forecast. Tarrant County Republicans and Democrats hosted separate watch parties for the 2024 elections Tuesday night, with supporters and several government officials in attendance, including state senators and county judges. Beth Van Dyne hosted the GOP party at the Gaylord. The Democrats hosted their watch party at the Bearded Lady in Fort Worth. Both parties had substantial turnout and went well into the night as battleground states were announced. The election watch party at the Southeast campus brought TCC students together to engage with politics, regardless of differing personal beliefs.
In Medina County, Texas, the body of a 22-year-old man was recovered by the sheriff's department. The man's car was swept away during heavy flooding Monday night. Mike Jimenez has the latest.
Last night when the storm came through the county, we received a 911 call, and a young man was in the water. His vehicle was floating away.
Sheriff Brown says it was tough to listen to the 12-minute 911 call filled with panic.
We started yesterday evening and started back even with more people this morning, and we were able to locate the vehicle. It was probably 3.5 miles down that creek.
While the car was recovered, no one was in it, so they searched downstream, aided by search teams that included deputies, firefighters, emergency and service coordinators, game wardens, and a helicopter. Brown says the search was difficult because of the terrain, but they remain committed searching into Bandera County.
Not too long ago, was able to find the body of this young man, which was about a 5-mile trip.
Sheriff Brown says the 20-year-old man was not from the United States, so they are not releasing his identity until his parents are notified. Brown was able to speak with local family members.
It's really a tough thing. You know, you never have the words to say to people in times like that, but our hearts go out to the family.
Sheriff Brown says while it was not the outcome they hoped for, he hopes it will give the family some closure. Ted Cruz has won another term in the U.S. Senate after defeating his Democratic challenger, Colin Allred. In the end, Cruz secured about 53% of the vote over Allred's 44%.
But tonight, the people of Texas have spoken. And their message rings clear as a bell across our great state. Texas will remain Texas.
Allred, a state representative from Dallas with the backing of millions from Senate Democrats, attempted to paint Cruz as an extreme lawmaker who is out of touch with Texans. Cruz has represented Texas in the Senate since 2013, and his 6-year term will keep him in office until 2030.
A grieving Texas family of a 19-year-old man recently killed during a robbery is now frustrated at the funeral home. The family wanted to keep some of his hair, but the funeral home lost it. Micah Hatfield has the latest.
On August 26th, 19-year-old Kenneth Thomas was killed during a robbery in the 5th Ward.
It was very heartbreaking because it was a traumatic. How he died was uncalled for.
In the wake of his death, family says they asked Oasis Funeral and Cremation in Aldine to save his hair for them prior to his cremation. Some of his family members, including his twin, plan to weave his hair into theirs.
He'll never die. As long as we're here, he'll be alive.
But fairly immediately, after they got the bag of hair weeks after the funeral, they realized
This kind of is not his hair. Like, it's too long. It didn't have the blonde tips on it.
family says they were very familiar with Thomas's hair because they're the ones who styled it, and they said what they received was clearly not his. The owner of the funeral home admitted to ABC 13 that the family received another person's hair and says that she can't find his.
Right. That make us question everything. Yeah. Everything. Like even his ashes. Is this really him in his urn? We need to know that. Because if that's not him in the urn, who is it? Who is it?
The owner, Tanya Robertson, told ABC 13 that she cut Thomas's hair herself, so she knows it was done, but doesn't know where it is. She doesn't believe it's gone, though. She says she's had construction in her facility lately and believes it got misplaced during that time.
I take accountability for the issue that happened. I do. And as much as you try to do everything perfect, sometimes things still slip between the cracks.
To the family's concern about the ashes, the owner says there's no question that that's Thomas.
Governor Greg Abbott is ready to push his school voucher plan again. This time he has a lot more support. He discussed school voucher plans for the next legislative sessions in January while visiting Kingdom Life Academy, a Christian private school in East Texas, on Wednesday. Abbott said there are now more than enough votes to pass school choice in Texas, allowing taxpayer dollars to help parents pay for private school tuition.
When it comes to education, when it comes to most things in life, one size does not always fit all.
Texas State University officials are responding to a protest that forced campus police to step in after things started to escalate. On Wednesday, demonstrators were seen holding inappropriate signs, and some students believe the protest stemmed from the presidential election. Hamal Kennedy reports.
I don't think there's any room for that on this campus.
On the campus of Texas State University, San Marcos, Wednesday afternoon, demonstrators gathered outside the Johnson Student Center holding signs with what some people considered to be offensive language. Cade Crockett was walking to class when he saw what was happening.
I think it's very shameful that people assume that it's okay to promote this behavior, to promote this bigotry.
A statement from a Texas State spokesperson says the university supports the First Amendment and is required by state law to uphold free speech in public areas on campus, even if it upsets students.
I mean, obviously there's like free speech, but like that's just gonna start a fight. Like no matter what side you're on, that's just something crazy to say. And I think they knew that. They just wanted a reaction.
Raymond Walsh was walking with Crockett and says while he didn't want to get involved in the protest, he saw a crowd of students around the demonstrators, and both he and Crockett believe the event stemmed from Tuesday's presidential election results.
There's a bunch of people crowding around. I don't know if anyone's going to fight or something crazy. It's just after Election Day.
A Texas State spokesperson says the demonstrators were not students, nor did they have any affiliations with the school.
But I also believe it was done from a sense of engagement and almost an entitlement.
Texas State says the people involved were not arrested and are no longer on campus. There's also no official reason why this protest took place.
Coming up, we will have the presidential election results and more after this.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut, the one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink, or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking, now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed, better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead, catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Jason, let's go see your room.
That's not right. How was it? Is it good?
Please welcome President-elect Donald J. Trump.
Donald Trump has secured a historic second term in the White House. A crucial win in the battleground state of Wisconsin early Wednesday morning put him over the top of the 270 electoral votes he needed. President-elect Donald Trump is now the second person in U.S. history to win 2 non-consecutive terms as commander-in-chief.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate.
And I think presidents who are given a mandate to govern deserve from the Senate the opportunity to surround themselves with people that are going to help them execute their policies.
And a Republican Senate is exactly what Trump will have after the GOP secured enough seats to take control of the chamber overnight. He gave a peek into his prospective administration.
I will govern by a simple motto: promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises. Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people.
Wednesday afternoon, the Harris campaign conceded to Trump, but offered these remarks.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for. But I am so proud of the race we ran and the way we ran it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
As of right now, the House of Representatives remains too close to call on who holds that majority. This election win comes 2 months after 2 assassination attempts against him. Since his first successful White House bid in 2016, Trump has reshaped the GOP in his image and holds an iron grip over a party that was already ready to move on from him after the Capitol insurrection on January 6th, 2021.
Some of those charged in January 6th siege on the U.S. Capitol say they want to be pardoned. Attorneys for Christopher Carnell wrote a court filing that he is, quote, expecting to be relieved of the criminal prosecution that he is currently facing. Carnell was convicted of 7 counts, including disorderly conduct in a restricted building. More than 1,000 people have been convicted for their actions during the attack. President-elect Donald Trump previously said he would issue pardons for the January 6th defendants, quote, if they're innocent. And the world's top 10 richest people got a record $64 billion richer from Trump's reelection. That's according to Bloomberg's Billionaire Index. The biggest gainer was Elon Musk, the world's richest person and one of Trump's most outspoken and dedicated followers. Saw his wealth jump $26.5 billion to $290 billion Wednesday. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' wealth grew $7.1 billion. It came a week after defending his decision to withhold the Washington Post's endorsement of Kamala Harris. After the break, Lauren will have the weekend forecast and the outlook for the next 7 days.
We'll be right back.
We all know what it's like to feel alone. But it just takes one new connection. Want to get out of here? To empower many.
This is unbelievable.
It doesn't take a superhero to bring forces together. We all have the power to reach out.
Let's go!
And help someone feel like they belong.
Pretty cool, huh?
We are stronger together.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training on a Friday afternoon, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. You don't know how much somebody can hide what's going on inside their head. Store your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You can ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's so good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should.
Whatever gets you talking. Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Whatever gets you talking. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
At least 6 people were hurt on severe thunderstorms and possible tornadoes moved across parts of Oklahoma early Sunday. You can see some of the damage in Oklahoma City, where several homes and structures were hit, along with power lines, trees, and traffic signals. Those injured were hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. About 95,000 customers across the state were without power Sunday morning. City fire crews responded to a number of flooded vehicles. There's heightened concern over the tornado threat this week, given how prolific a year it has been for twisters in the U.S. John, it looks like it won't hit the United States, Raphael, or at least most of the southern border. Brownsville may see an increase in precipitation, but nothing alarming. As of right now, it's a Category 3, but is expected to hit up to a Category it's a Category 2. It's expected to get up to a Category 3. But as we move closer into the weekend, it's projected to turn right back around towards Central and South America. Raphael will be number 17 for major tropical storms in the Western Hemisphere. If it remains a level 3, it will be similar to the conditions we saw with Kirk, which was expected to remain a 4 until it moved on land and dissipated. Across the Metroplex, most counties are seeing rainfall right now. I know Abilene and Ballinger are getting some precipitation. We're seeing a slight drizzle, but looking at the current temps along the west part of the area versus the east, you'll see about a 10-degree temperature shift, which comes when we transition to the time between summer and winter. I'm hesitant to say fall because Texas doesn't really get one, but for the rest of today, we will see scattered fall-like showers for most of North Texas. Temperatures will steadily drop as we move into the evening, but winds shouldn't be too damaging or dangerous. The rain should clear up by Saturday. Saturday and Sunday both are expected to be beautiful, perfect times to go outside. No rain and highs in the 70s with clear skies. These patterns should actually continue into next week. Looking at the next 7 days, we'll see moderate and dry conditions for the remainder of this week. We'll be seeing changes pretty consistent with fall and winter in the lower temperatures, but we're still seeing highs in the 70s, real feel in the 80s. Again, for those higher temperatures, those lower temperatures are staying pretty consistent with what we can see at the end of the year. Not really until next weekend will we see the remnants of those tropical storms providing minor showers and higher winds. Two wildfires are exploding just outside Los Angeles. Officials say several people are hurt as a result of one of them. Multiple people are hurt as rapidly growing wildfires burn and threaten homes outside Los Angeles. Forecasters say powerful winds and dry conditions are creating a particularly dangerous situation. The broad fire is in Malibu, a coastal suburb of LA. Officials say the bigger concern is the mountain fire in nearby Ventura County. That fire says that blaze was sent several people to the hospital. Dozens of houses appear burned in its wake, and thousands of people are under evacuation orders. After the break, don't go anywhere, because up next, Cameron is with sports. Cameron.
How you doing? How you doing, Lauren? How you doing, John?
Howdy there, Cameron. Nice to see you.
I'm good. You got anything about baseball you want to hear about?
Yeah, I know the World Series is over, huh?
Yeah, it is. I got something about that. How about you, Lauren? You got any concerns?
I'm kind of concerned about that injury, which I know you will talk about right after this break.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
Welcome back to your Sports Spotlight. The baseball season wrapped up last week with the Dodgers World Series win over the Yankees 4-1. First baseman Freddie Freeman received MVP honors for his record-breaking performance, including the first walk-off grand slam in World Series history. Here's a couple of fun facts to take with you. This was the first World Series played outside of Texas since 2018, and also the first to not feature a Texas team since 2020. Moving to the hardwood, we have the Mavericks standing at 5-3, placing them 5th in the Western Conference. It's early as they sit 2 games out of first place behind the Phoenix Suns. We travel north to Michigan to recognize a rare occurrence where the Detroit Pistons take on another young and upcoming Houston Rockets team, led by Jalen Green. Cade Cunningham looks to motor past the Rockets to improve their record to 4-6, getting them out of the basement of the Eastern Conference, while the Detroit Lions make their trek down to Houston to battle the Texans, where they intend to continue their historic season and improve to 8-1. C.J. Stroud looks to end the winning ways of Jared Goff and the Lions on Sunday Night Football. The Cowboys, on the other hand, are moving in the wrong direction. After 3 devastating losses in a row, Cooper Rush looks to steer the Cowboys forward after losing starting quarterback Dak Prescott to a hamstring injury last Sunday. This Sunday, they take on their divisional rivals, the Eagles, in hopes to bounce back into the win column. And that's your Sports Spotlight.
Australian breakdancer star Ray Gunn announced she's retiring from competitive breakdancing. It comes in the wake of backlash and ridicule over her performance at the Paris Olympics. She said she's retiring in an interview with Sydney radio station. Rachel Gunn was mocked online after she got 0 points for her performance at the Olympics in August, which went viral. She said it's been upsetting and she didn't have any control over how the people saw her.
A Northern California county and its sheriff's office have settled with a family for $300,000. It's a saga that involves a goat, its seizure of it, and then seeing it butchered. Jessica Long hired attorneys who alleged a violation of her family's right to not be subject to unjust search and seizure. It's a story that also involves a local fair. Max Tedford reports.
In 2022, Long's then 9-year-old daughter had joined a youth 4-H program to introduce her to farming, getting the goat Cedar as part of a termination contract with Shasta's District Fair. However, after months of care, Long's daughter grew attached and became distressed before the goat even went to auction. However, leadership with the Shasta District Fair refused to allow her to back out, placing the goat for auction and allowing its purchase for just over $900. Court documents show the mother was able to get the buyer to relinquish ownership, but the fair insisted the goat was theirs and needed to be slaughtered, threatening to charge the family with grand theft after they removed the goat from the fairgrounds. After the Longs did not return the goat, the fair's leadership involved the sheriffs, who eventually went to Sonoma County where the goat was located, seized it, and then saw it butchered. The court found the fair's own bylaws established the Longs still had ownership and should have been able to resolve the suit civilly, violating their rights to due process and failing to obtain a warrant for the search in Sonoma County. However, the county and the sheriff's office are settling now rather than continuing with the litigation to trial, agreeing to pay the Longs and their attorneys $300,000.
Soon you'll be able to get IHOP pancakes and Applebee's riblets at one meal. Dine Brands, which owns both restaurants, announced it is opening a combined Applebee's IHOP in Texas next year. Renderings show 2 distinct sections. One has the traditional IHOP interior. The other includes a large bar and TVs usually seen in Applebee's. Both menus will be available throughout the restaurant since they will share a kitchen. Dine hopes this can help grow the restaurants, which both reported falling sales in the third quarter.
The newsfeed will be right back after this.
When you came into my life, it was a whirlwind.
I just can't do it.
We didn't know what the future would hold, but we knew you would always be a part of it. Adopting you was the best decision in our life. And I am so proud to call you my son.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
Low-income families will soon pay less when adding money to student school lunch accounts. The U.S. Department of Agriculture recently announced a new rule. It will ban schools from charging junk fees for adding funds to school lunch accounts of families that qualify for free or reduced breakfast and lunch.
One study from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau estimates low-income families pay 60 cents in processing fees for each dollar they spend on school lunch. School districts are encouraged to adhere to this new rule as soon as possible.
Peanut the squirrel, a beloved pet who was an internet sensation before New York State officials confiscated and then killed it, is drawing even more social media attention after the rodent's death. The State Department seized Peanut and a raccoon named Fred from owner Mark Longo's home last week and then euthanized the critters. Peanut's popularity was no joke. An Instagram page dedicated to the squirrel has more than 500,000 followers. In announcing the rodent's death, Thierry Longo told followers that Peanut was the best thing that has ever happened to us.
With Halloween in the rear view, retailers are looking ahead to the winter holidays and hoping to muster up some magic. This comes amid challenges this year between a tense presidential election and a shortened holiday shopping season. Leigh Waldman is in New York. Leigh, even with these obstacles, there's high expectations for big box stores.
While parents are picking away at their children's Halloween candy castaways, retailers are working to get ready for the holiday shopping season.
We have always seen that the winter holidays have been central to both consumers and to the retail industry. This year is certainly no exception.
Catherine Cullen with the National Retail Federation says they expect shoppers to spend a record $902 per person on average this year on seasonal items like gifts, food, decorations, and cards. That's up $27 from last year.
Celebrations and these special moments throughout the year have really become a priority for them, even when things are tough.
Every year, consumers are faced with stressors, but this year, the NRF asked if the election was factoring into shopping habits. For most, the answer was no, but some are looking for retail therapy.
If anything, they might be looking to holiday shopping as a little bit of an escape.
Meanwhile, retailers themselves are up against a shorter time clock with 5 fewer calendar days this year between Thanksgiving and Christmas to entice customers.
We know that many consumers will have started browsing or buying, at least doing some of their research even before November, while the bulk of spending really does still kick off in November or December.
Even with the shortened time frame, the NRF expects holiday shopping to grow between 2.5% and 3.5% from last year, totaling between a whopping $979.5 billion and $989 billion. In New York, I'm Leigh Waldman reporting.
Thank you for tuning in to the NewsFeed at noon, and thank you, Cameron, for joining us again.
Thanks for having me, John.
We'll see you at the same time in 2 weeks. Have a great rest of your weekend.